entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Grace. It's Thursday, and we are live with my very good friend, Carmela Tunzi, certified hypnotherapist, and she's just an all-around awesome lady. Welcome, Carmela.
Thank you, Anita.
So
are
happy
you?
to catch up with you today.
Me too. It's like we're chatting on live
Yeah.
on the radio.
And it's so natural.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I want to tell our listeners today is that we are experiencing some problems with Facebook Live, so we might not have that available today, but you can listen to our entire show online on latalkradio.com channel 2. You just hit play, and or you can go on graceradioshow.com and hear it there. There's a little tab for it for the live. Anyways, so I want to get to Carmela. We have a really interesting show today. I interviewed Carmela about a year ago. We got to know her for the first time on a different show that we had called The Grateful Hour. And Carmela's back, and we're going to dig deep into her consciousness and brain today about weight loss. Carmela is, she holds certificates in master hypnosis, and she deals with a lot of different types of clients. What are some of the things? Carmela, first of all, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carmela Tunzi. I am a clinical consulting hypnotist and own my own business called Mind Flow Hypnosis. And I'm also training to be a trainer's trainer, and am able to give people the knowledge and learning to become a hypnotist themselves, and or help people also become entrepreneurs and all kinds of fun things.
That is so awesome, Carmela. How long have you been doing this? I forget.
I actually stumbled across my first training in 19. Where'd that come from? 2011.
1911.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, right? I've been around for a long time now.
2011. Okay, that's great. That's like 7 years ago.
Yeah. It seems
So-
like a little bit longer at this
Yeah.
point, but yes, 2011.
As a reminder, what drove you to it? How did you discover hypnotherapy?
It was completely an accident.
Yeah.
And I think that I've mentioned this before to you and many times in other interviews. I was sort of on my own path of healing and learning this observation between the mind body, and I was actually entertaining doing another form of healing called Jinshin Jitsu. So the short version of this was, I was thinking, that sounds kind of esoteric, and how am I going to be able to market this? And so I became what I call a certification junkie. And I stumbled across this NLP training, neuro-linguistic programming, which I didn't know what the heck that was at the time. And I went to this training, initial training, and I was blown away. So that's basically what opened up the door for me, and how I stumbled across this fantastic method to help people heal in different ways.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what you were dealing with at the time.
Sure. I didn't even know what I was going to be getting into, like I mentioned a second ago, but while I saw people on stage getting rapid transformation, I realized that it could possibly help me I had an issue getting back on Los Angeles freeways. I had many years prior, I think at that point it was about 15 years that I hadn't been driving the Los Angeles freeways. And any of you that are listening that are here, you know, that would be kind of an obstacle. Anyway, so 15 years, I'm not driving freeways. I see this fantastic method of, people overcoming fears, phobias, almost what seemed to me instantly. So I sought out to, actually went back to that initial training again the same year, twice in the same year, and talked to the trainer, and he wasn't able to help me himself, but I made my own research and found a lovely woman who helped me, believe it or not, through Skype. So I'm actually really skilled at doing that now, because I learned it's very doable by Skype also, and I got my life back. And
Amazing.
yeah,
How many sessions did it take for you to overcome that?
it wasn't really an individual per session. It was more like a process. I don't know. Like when I'm working with clients, I usually tell them it's not like custom sessions. It's like there's a beginning, middle, and end. So I was with her about 3 hours. It's kind of similar like when I'm working with a client, depending on what they need help with. So it's not like, oh, an hour, you're done, time's over. It's more like you get them to their destination wherever that needs to be, like more like through a program.
How long did the program last, though?
I only had to see her those 3 hours.
Just 3 hours?
Yep.
Wow. And it changed
It
your
changed my life.
perspective? It changed your
It
life?
changed my life.
3
I got my life
hours?
back. Yep.
That is amazing.
It was amazing. It was, and that's what
Yeah.
was the convincer for me that I wanted to help people and use this method. I wasn't even doing hypnosis at that point, but I went back and got my mastery in hypnosis, which includes very much NLP, and that's how I help people now.
So you're convinced that a lot of things are mental, including weight loss.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about
Sure.
that.
Sure.
You know, the growing epidemic of obesity is just getting worse in America. I just read an article that said roughly 100 million people in America are obese.
That's a big, huge
That's
number.
a huge number.
Huge number.
And I mean,
absolutely.
and you can see that. Like when you walk out on the street, a lot of people are overweight. They struggle with weight issues.
It's one of the biggest and hardest things to overcome, and actually in our system, it is the biggest program that we have because there's all kinds of reasons. Everybody knows how to diet. I
Yeah.
mean, we're in California. Everybody's outside. We like having a fit lifestyle, etc. And yet you see people that kind of yo-yo and have these obstacles to overcome. And so by the time someone comes to me, if they're looking to release weight, it's not like they're looking for a diet. They're looking for what can I do that will make me stick? What is it that is going to take the cravings away? What is it that's going to make me feel good when I'm actually eating because I'm trying to not be emotional? And all these kind of different various things.
So how does hypnotherapy help with that exactly? What is the program like, and how long does it take to actually bring a person out of that state of mind and help them be more aware of themselves?
So there's many many ways of doing this. So if someone comes to me and they need to lose between 60 to 100 pounds, I definitely, well, the first part, let me backtrack. Before I even accept someone as a client, we do what we call is a screening. And so they come in and we have the, formal sheet of paper where they're going to answer some questions and things like, do you feel stressed, or do you find yourself eating at certain times of the day, or what triggers that eating? Are you able to exercise? Are you physically fit? Like all these kind of things need to be considered and evaluated. And it is thought-provoking also. When was the first time that you noticed that you were overweight? Is this a lifelong struggle, or is it just recent? Did you have a trauma? So all of these layers of things that we're looking at put together what would be a custom program for that specific person and what they need. So a 60-pound kind of loss situation is going to be considerably more time than somebody that comes in and says, I just want to, get back to where I was, like, 20 pounds ago.
Yeah.
So their program is going to be not as long, and the details of it might be a little bit different. Yeah.
So can you describe the process a little bit?
Sure. So it really depends on the person. So let's have in the account of, let's go back to the 60-pound person. They come in, they fill out the form, they pass the screening, they're suggestible. We do a test to make sure that they're able to follow direction. With hypnosis, first of all, we say all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And what that means is that we're actually looking to see that they're listening and that they're able to just follow along. There's only 3 types of people that are not suggestible. Their IQ is below 70. I know that sounds silly, but that's part of what we have noticed. And there is such a thing as having some mental disorders, like someone with a severe mental disorder such as schizophrenia, or some severe
Is
issue
not
like that,
receptive enough.
no, they're not able to follow along.
Mhm.
And then the third type of person is the person that's been dragged in by their dog
Mhm.
or their cat, or what I'm
Mhm.
saying is like they don't want to do it. So
Mhm.
nobody's going to make you. I don't do anything to anyone. I just give suggestions. If they follow along, then they're able to feel the change. Now you're asking specifics. So if someone comes in and they, the first session, or the first moment that we start to work with them, I ask them what's their biggest challenge. Sometimes I start with, something as simple as let's just make a plan.
Mhm.
Oftentimes people that are extremely obese don't even know that they have to plan their day in advance. For example, you go to the market, you plan your week, you cook your food in advance, you have the, portion control. So this is basic stuff that most people know how to do, and so that is also included in how we're approaching this. But what makes it stick is the hypnosis part of it. So
Mhm.
as they're experiencing hypnosis or NLP, we're helping them see themselves a fit, trim person, something that they don't even take in account. So, for example, the subconscious mind doesn't understand negatives.
Mhm.
So if they're used to telling themselves all day long, I am fat, or I am unhealthy, or I don't like this, or whatever negative phrase they're used to saying, I am unlovable, or I am not pretty, or whatever you might think of, then the subconscious mind is going to fulfill that same answer. In other words, they're going to keep repeating who they are to themselves. It doesn't create the change.
Mm.
So with hypnosis, once we get them into a relaxed state, we give them the positive outcomes or affirmations that they need. It's kind of like saying affirmations
Mhm.
without the progressive relaxation part of it.
Mhm.
At that point, their brain is like a sponge, and they're
Mm.
going to pick it up. They're going to see, feel, and hear differently.
And so it kind of gets ingrained in their mind,
Exactly.
and then they repeat that to themselves on a daily basis and start
Exactly.
living that life.
Exactly. So when
Mm.
someone's coming to us, we
Yeah.
actually provide them with audio per program. I tend to give my clients a lot of additional resources and
Mhm.
tools. And so they'll be listening to those in between sessions,
Mhm.
and it builds the new pathway,
Yeah.
the neurological new
Yeah.
pathway to get the change
Yeah.
that they want.
Now, do you recommend going to the gym alongside this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a kind of like a misconception
Yeah.
when people say, what hypnosis makes you lose weight? Yeah, but you have to go to the gym. You have to, cut back on
Yeah.
your food. Doing hypnosis doesn't mean that it's going to just melt off you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it does is takes away limiting beliefs. It helps you see a compelling future. It helps you not have the cravings. Oftentimes that's the biggest surprise when people come back and are like, oh, I actually feel emotionally better, and I don't want that extra portion of stuff anymore. That's the biggest surprise to people when they start noticing that they literally don't have the triggered, responses, or
Yeah.
the knee-jerk reactions, or whatever it is that
Yeah.
was.
So in a way, it kind of like increases your self-awareness and kind of helps build self-love,
Yes.
so that you respect yourself more,
Yes.
and it helps change that habit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in a way, we're unhypnotizing people from bad
Yeah.
habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit ago, off air, we were talking about something really interesting, how there's this ongoing conversation in the world right now, especially in the US, about self-acceptance as you are. Like, no matter how much you weigh, what you look like, to really accept and self-love.
Yes.
Is that, what do you think of that? I mean, what do you think of that notion?
I'm happy that we're actually discussing this on the air, because I can kind of foresee a pendulum swinging, and it's just in the beginning of this phase. For a very long time, when you look at the fashion world, for example, it was almost like to the opposite extreme, where people were getting judged by, the way they look, to the point where people are becoming like super over unhealthy, thin, anorexic, or, especially in the fashion world, being judged by their appearance. And many years, in a prior life, I worked in Beverly Hills in the fashion industry and hair, and, all beauty industry. And I noticed that, it was very opposite, like so much about exterior appearance. So based on that, what has slowly begun to happen is this understanding of, we have to love ourselves as we are, and, the more like plus model type personality should be, more accepted, celebrated. Thank you. And that's all wonderful. And my observation is just a little bit stretching it a little bit further, because my concern is it's almost like if you say the word in certain circles, weight loss, it's almost like they're feeling like, well, are you body shaming us? Are you trying to say that we can't love ourselves when we just barely are hitting the tip of the iceberg of where we're beginning to embrace ourselves?
Yeah.
And I actually am kind of concerned. I'm kind of concerned that it's going to be an opposite pendulum swing. And I've seen observations of this, of some plus size people demonstrating, being self-loving in a model way, but yet abusing themselves, like, openly, showing their obesity and saying it's okay to be this way and love yourself. Sure, but I don't think that you're really being healthy and realistic. I think it's delusional.
Right.
Kind of. And
Right.
not kind of. It's a delusional
I feel like it kind of convinces you not to make the effort, to lose the weight, to look better, to feel better.
Yes.
So it kind of just keeps you in your comfort zone, which it's an excuse, basically.
Well, and, I'm thinking of I'm not going to name them at all, but I'm thinking of this one particular plus-size model. She's actually very famous now. And I was kind of following her on Instagram, and I said, in my mind, well, you're gorgeous in your face right now. And, if you love your body, God love you, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But 10, 15 years from now, when your organs start to fail or your heart starts to give out because you're still eating chocolate cake and you're like probably 200 pounds overweight, you're 350 pounds, like that is not a celebration to me.
Exactly.
That is not, that's actually very worrisome. So
I think another problem women have is they don't realize that maybe when they're single and they don't have kids, it's okay to be a little overweight, but once they have kids, it really changes one's body. So you gain a lot of weight. So if you don't keep it under control, it just gets out of control.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people struggling with that. They'll have one or two kids and all of a sudden they're completely out of shape. And that affects their relationships, their confidence, their self-love, like every area of their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that there's a lot of women that struggle with that, and the metabolism changes, and then you're tired. You don't have time in the day. You're looking after your kids and all kinds of things. But here's the thing, just how you would segment time out for your kids or for your shopping or for whatever it is, you just need to segment out time for yourself. Because like you said just now, it doesn't get any easier. It just gets harder. Yeah. And so with what we do, it just really gives you an extra push. It gives you an extra kick.
And it's good to have compassion for people, because a lot of people too, they work in office settings. They're always sitting down. They're having those snacks and cupcakes and lunch at their desk. So it doesn't make losing weight easier.
No.
But as you said, if they take the time and they seek out the help, then they can develop those habits to lose the weight and keep it that way.
Even if it's just, like you said, not eating that extra cupcake. I just got off the phone with one of my clients today. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned it. And she started with me. I met her at the cancer center where I speak and help people with stress release, which is a whole other topic. But as we're working together and she's become, more skilled at using technique, not to be stressed, she was like, what do I do now? Because she loved the process so much. And I said, well, it's up to you. Want to work on your fitness? Because she was, her health obviously is important to her coming from the cancer. And she said, well, I think I want to get stronger with my fitness and my weight. And so today on the conversation that we had, she made me really happy that she said, Carmela, I have these goodies around work. And I said, I thought of you, and nope, I didn't want it. I didn't want that extra whatever that was around, where normally I would just not even think about it and pick up the goodie or the treat that was around me.
Yeah, it's interesting because, having discipline doesn't always just relate to people who have a weight problem.
Absolutely.
Having discipline is just good overall. Like, for example, like I don't have weight issues, and I really have never had weight issues.
You're fortunate.
yeah, I am fortunate because of my genes, because of just being active. I've always I was a dancer and I was just naturally, I'm very active. But what I find interesting is there's been times in my life where I've had really horrible eating habits. I do reach for the sweets, for the coffee, for the junk food. But now it's I'm in an interesting phase right now. Is when I go near that stuff, I just always ask myself, is this a sign of me loving myself? I don't really need this right now. So I just go for the better option.
Which is a wonderful way to
Yeah.
kind of self-talk. And,
Yeah.
when we teach self-hypnosis, that's where we start.
Yeah.
Your self-talk is going to tell you
Yeah.
what it is that it wants to continue in action.
Right.
It's kind of like the brain is like a computer, like a Google search.
Yeah.
If you put in, I want, goodies and sweets, then you're
Yeah.
going to see all these visuals of goodies and sweets.
Yeah.
Or if you put in a Google search of what is healthy and fit for me, what is self-loving, like you just said, you're going to get a completely different search, and the
Yeah.
brain will follow through with that. So
Yeah.
it is exactly like that.
And I mean, I don't really believe in being extreme. I think every now and then you have to just treat yourself and
You have
have
to
that
reward
piece.
yourself.
Yeah, you just have to have that piece of cake or whatever is going to make you happy at that moment. But you have to develop the discipline not to go for it every day. Because some people build a habit of, let's say, running to Starbucks every day. They have to get their coffee with their muffin.
Yeah.
That's like their breakfast.
I understand
know?
that there's many people that, like you're speaking now, that you have this discipline. Understand that there's many people that have no strength with that.
Yeah.
It's
It's an addiction.
Yeah. Well, I'm cautious with the
sense.
addiction, but word.
Yeah.
It's just a word. The word I'm
Right.
caution of, but it is a habit.
Yeah.
It is a habit
Yeah.
that is ingrained. So it's kind of like good and bad. Like, if you think about your route to go to work every day, you don't have to think about how to get there. So when somebody has a habit, good or bad, it's going to be the same. They don't think about it. They just kind of go. And so if it's a habit of, having a bite right before you go to bed, that needs to be taken away, because otherwise they're feeling uncomfortable. And so this tool that we have really helps get out of those habits rapidly. So sometimes it's not just a matter of, because I'm certain, I don't know who's listening tonight, but I'm certain that some people are going to be going, well, I can't just tell myself blah, 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 because
Yeah.
as many times as I tell myself, just like the beginning of New Year's, how many times people have, these goals or resolutions and then they fall flat. There's
Right.
real reasons for that. And so we actually help retrain the brain and what they're seeing as an outcome so that they can move forward and continue that instead of going back and forth with this yo-yo effect.
When we come back, we're going to take a little break. I want to talk about the success rate of,
Sure.
of this
Sure.
hypnotherapy. Thank you so much, everybody. You're tuned into Grace Radio Show. My guest tonight is Carmela Tunzi. She's a certified hypnotherapist. You can find her on Instagram at Carmela323
Yep.
and on Facebook, Carmela Tunzi, Tunzi. And Carmela spelled with a C.
Yes.
And we have it all over the place on our platforms. So check out Grace Radio Show on Facebook and Instagram. And Twitter is show_Grace. Thank you so much. And I want to also remind you that you can call in tonight with your questions at 818-602-4929. Please do. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Need a new car? Auto World Leasing and Sales in Glendale has the best deals all year long. Imagine buying or leasing your favorite vehicle today with zero down, zero hassle if you qualify. They'll have you signed and ready to go. Cause you're a rock star and life has never been more exhilarating. Call Auto World now at 818-246-1500. 818-246-1500.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Welcome back, guys. It seems like our Facebook Live is working, Carmela.
It is working now. I'm seeing people making comments.
Oh,
Somebody
that's
just
awesome.
said they were fat. So hopefully they're not anymore. Or if they need help, they can call us.
Exactly. Get in touch with Carmela, guys. We're looking forward to you guys calling us at 818-602-4929 with questions for Carmela. You're tuned into Grace Radio Show, and we're continuing with the question of the success rate.
Right.
That really interests me. Like, what is the success rate of these clients that come to you with weight issues?
Well, I don't have stats per
Mhm.
se. I'm not a fan of looking at stats, but what I will tell you is that I ultimately guarantee it. So what that means is, as long as you're committed to wanting to get to your goal, then I will see you through your goal. So every single person that walks through my door, whether it be for quit smoking or whether it be for weight loss or stress release or whatever that means, sees results.
Yeah.
So those are pretty high stats, I would say. I'm not into numbers. I think someone recently told me that they were seeing as high as 80% success rate versus like traditional therapy or talk therapy where the numbers are really, really, really low. But again, I'm not a numbers person. I just know that the people that are coming through my office, if they're suggestible and they show up, I can't make somebody show up to the session. But if
Have you had testimonials though of success and
oh
people
my gosh,
feeling
I
really
have
good?
2 books. I should have brought my books tonight.
Yeah.
I have 2 complete books of people that have had fantastic stories to tell. So many wonderful things happen as they're shedding either the weight or they're releasing their stress or quit smoking, etc. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Who are some good candidates for this therapy?
Well, someone that wants to change, someone that usually our demographic is women between the ages of 35 to about 65-ish. I find that the younger under 30 crowd kind of is still like, we can figure this out on our own.
Right.
Millennials are a little bit more resistant to wanting to be led. So like pretty much a good candidate is someone that really wants to change, someone that really is sincere. That's the key word there. You have to be really sincere about wanting change, and then being able to be led. Like that was a strong aha for me. Even with working with the people that I'm working with, I'm actually part of the international group of hypnotists called the Master Hypnotist Society, led by my trainer Scott McFall. And I remember first hearing these words, like I wasn't used to this concept of being led by anyone. I mean, I came from a family situation where I kind of was like, and doing my own kind of leading per se, sort of. So you have to trust the process and the person that's working with you.
You also work with cancer patients, right?
I do. I actually go to the cancer support community in Pasadena, and if you can plug them, because I really love them and that place a lot. They offer all their services for free. It's on Del Mar in Pasadena, and
Nice.
I do go give talks and help them with stress release. I've picked up a couple of people, that want to lose weight there also, but mostly it's for them. It's more, alleviating some pain or symptoms from different things that they're going through. And obviously the stress is huge for them. So yes, I do work with that.
Right. That's wonderful. Let's talk about the cost of doing this. Is it affordable?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at. I really don't quote prices. So as far as cost, I'd like to say, what would you put a price tag on your life, right? If somebody's coming to me for quit smoking, for example, one of the things that I like to do, that we do, is do the math. So cigarettes are $10 a pack, right?
Right.
And if they're smoking a pack a day times 7, so that's $70 a week, times 4, and my math is not that great, but you start looking at those numbers times 12, 1 year.
Yeah.
So even and then sometimes people have been smoking for 30 years, and if you plus that another 10 years or 20 years, they're saving sometimes on average about $30,000
Wow.
just by doing a quit smoking program.
Right.
So
you do a lot of that as well, right?
Yes.
Alongside weight loss.
Yes. And so the numbers are like relative, basically, to what you're seeing.
Wonderful. I want to know what are some of the other services that you offer besides smoking and weight loss?
Okay, so under the umbrella of service, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is sometimes when someone is just popping off my head, I just recently worked with 2 clients that completed their stress release programs. And one of them happens to be, she's been a guest with me on another show with her successes. But for example, she is an author, and she's written 13 books. 13. And coming out of her stress release program, and she had a lot of stuff that she wanted to clean up from her past. She mentioned that she wanted guidance now in being successful finding an agent.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are actually helping her now form this new kind of personality to connect with people. Sometimes writers and
Right.
authors are very unique
Mm.
and different. And
Maybe introverted in some ways.
like they spend a lot of time alone,
Yeah.
and they live through this fantasy of
Uh-huh.
what they're doing, but you have to connect with people. So yes, we can do that. We can help people actually become a new version of
Mm.
who they want to be without really even knowing that they need to change. But
Interesting.
we're guiding them to get to the place where they want to be,
Mm.
whatever it is for them.
So in a way, it's sort of like transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely transformation.
Yeah.
But in a real way. Like,
Right.
with some of the things that she had to do is like connect with people, like go to the market and, really feel connection with people, feel their heart, go into
Mhm.
their heart space. And we call it in our language and NLP language, getting into rapport with people, doing exercises like that. So that you feel the sense of connection and really identify with a person, so that you're able to kind of draw people into your life.
Yeah.
When you're looking for people to connect with, it's really important to know
Yeah.
what they're going through.
Have you noticed a pattern among your patients, like
It's funny.
a
That's-
certain problem that they're all sort of dealing with
I
that
think
is
it's
common?
really funny that you asked that, because it seems to go in waves. And I've heard this from other
Mm-hmm.
consulting hypnotists, and I'm not sure if it goes like this with everybody, but in particular our group, I've noticed that can happen. So
Mm-hmm.
you might, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now, but it might be, this idea of, let's say for a period of time I get a lot of males call me, so I'm working with more guys, or then it go through waves of, oh, I don't know, I have a particular issue with, not feeling comfortable driving on the road. And all of a sudden I'm working
Mhm.
with people that
Mhm.
have anxiety with driving on roads.
Mm-hmm.
So it does kind of do that. Like it
Mhm.
kind of goes in waves. And
Yeah.
we really don't know why. It's kind of an energy thing.
Right.
And I don't know how to describe that.
That
and
is
why
interesting.
happens.
I mean, it just almost feels like what you do is sort of like psychotherapy or psychology.
Well, we don't
Like,
analyze.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't analyze, but we do go deep. I
Mhm.
mean, in other words, they get change.
Yeah.
So it's different than talk therapy, because in talk therapy they kind of go back to the past, and we don't care about the content so much. Sometimes people will do a little bit of regression. I can visit that at times, but we do it in a way that's safe and disassociated, so that people get a real understanding of what's occurring. Because
Yeah.
there's this idea of perception, and oftentimes people perceive something. Have you ever seen like the idea of a police lineup,
Yeah.
where everybody's in a police lineup, but yet everybody sees something in a completely different way?
Mm-hmm.
And so we do that ourselves with our own stories.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, as a hypnotist, and I've been trained not to really believe the story.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help them get their goal. That's what's
Right.
most important. So yeah, they might come from a rough situation. They know what they want to get rid of, but I'm not going to go and stir the pot or find out, why, or,
Right.
what the problem is, more than what do you actually want. That's more important.
Right. And then I'm just curious, like, is it a permanent change? Like, if somebody is suggestible and they acquire this new habit, is it a permanent change, or do you sometimes notice that they bounce back to their old habits
So
again?
you're probably too young to remember this, but you might know this old commercial that goes plop, plop, fizz, fizz, and many people out there would know the ending of that.
Mm-hmm.
In that commercial, the ending is, oh, what a relief it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that you know that, or that they know that, is because it's through repetition. So nobody's ever going to unlearn that. So once
Mhm.
somebody really gets it, like, I'm never going to not drive freeways again. You know, it's kind of like that. But hypnosis happens through focus, relaxation, and repetition.
Do you think somebody needs several sessions to get that ingrained in their mind and consciousness?
We don't do anything in one session.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why it's always a program.
I see.
Yeah, nothing in one session happens. And anybody that promises you that is just misleading.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we do programs with beginning, middle, and end, and that's how I'm able to guarantee it.
Sure, sure. So everyone listening in, my guest tonight is Carmela Tunzi. She's a certified hypnotherapist, and we've been chatting about weight loss tonight, which is really, really interesting because we do have an epidemic in this country, a lot of people dealing with that. So I do urge you to get in touch with Carmela. Hypnotherapy could be right for you. And anyway, the assessment, I think, is free, correct?
Yes.
So get in touch with her, Carmela Tunzi on Facebook, Carmela323 on Instagram. We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about some other stuff. Thank you.
Need a new car? Auto World Leasing and Sales in Glendale has the best deals all year long. Imagine buying or leasing your favorite vehicle today with zero down, zero hassle if you qualify. They'll have you signed and ready to go. Cause you're a rock star and life has never been more exhilarating. Call Auto World now at 818-246-1500. 818-246-1500.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.
Hey guys, welcome back to Grace Radio Show with your host Anita. I'm chatting with Carmela Tunzi, certified hypnotherapist. It's been really interesting. We've been talking about weight loss, and we kind of dove into stress release and quitting smoking, which is really interesting as well. So I want to know, like, you do a lot of radio shows, Carmela, at this very station, and you've done many. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, let me see. I just kind of stumbled across this being interviewed, especially at the station. I think it's important to share and for people to know that, you know, a little bit about what it is, what their options are. And I find it's a great way to reach a lot of people
and educate them at the same time.
Yeah, kind of educate them. I've been in all sorts of different situations here, where I've actually had, one of the other hosts, they had somebody call in and he wanted me to do a live something with that person, and that's a little goofy sometimes, but I oftentimes actually I bring in my own clients to give testimonial, because me saying about other people's successes versus actual clients and talking about their successes. And by the way, I have many success stories. You've been mentioning my Instagram, but my
on your website, mindflowhypnosis.com.
Yes, and I'm all over on Twitter, and just if you look up Mindflow Hypnosis, I have it, and YouTube also, Mindflow Hypnosis, but real live testimonials from clients that have had great successes, and so you can actually see what they're saying and how they're expressing themselves with the programs that we offer.
That's fantastic. Do you ever use hypnotherapy for yourself, like during your day-to-day life, if you're struggling with some stuff? Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like I really don't spend like half an hour or something, but absolutely, if I have a moment of I can't sleep, I'll actually do like a drop-down technique and do like reverse counting and get myself into a place where I have no trouble sleeping. But on a rare occasion, I will have this, happen. And so I know what to do as far as getting myself into relaxation. Or sometimes if I'm in a situation where I'm in between clients, absolutely. I love that downtime. It's very, very relaxing. It's almost like meditation. The difference is that you're giving yourself an outcome with a visual suggestion that you want. I've actually, like, if you don't mind me going on about this, every Wednesday I get up super early to go to a business networking group, and every Wednesday, like 5:30 a.m. is super early for me. I like sleeping in guiltily until I realized, wait a second, I could just tell myself the night before I will wake up refreshed. Guess what? It works. Like, you can literally tell yourself whatever it is that you want to achieve, and I feel more refreshed when I wake up.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
I forgot that I could do that even myself. I
Ca-
was like, hello.
Wow. Can you give our listeners some tips, hypnotherapy tips, or some techniques that they can do themselves?
Sure. If whoever's listening, if you have something that you want to achieve, and a simple way to do some kind of like rapid change is to first visualize what it is that you would like, rather than, self-talk that's negative.
Yeah.
For example, in a situation where you want to be, a size or two smaller, imagine what that looks like now. And as you remember or think about a time when you were, and if you've never been, by the way, could still do this, imagine what it would be like to be that person in a fit, trim way, and actually imagine stepping into that person that you're seeing. You can actually imagine stepping into that physiology. And as you do that, actually, you're going to feel a shift if you do it correctly.
Wow. So there's a lot of visualization
It's all
involved. It's all
You
visualization.
can't do it without visualizing.
So can you visualize yourself being a billionaire and suddenly it happens?
I think there might be some steps necessary in
Right.
between, so we don't want to promise that.
Right.
But definitely, you're never going to make any success if you only notice what's going wrong. That's for
Right.
sure. Or if you don't have a
So
plan.
you have to hold on to that vision and
Yes.
work hard.
And step into it.
Yeah.
And
step
actually
into-
step into the process. If we do sometimes this thing called reverse engineering, and if you can imagine yourself 3 years from now, I'm going to talk to you. I'll actually talk to you now.
Okay.
So if you can imagine yourself, don't answer me just now,
Okay.
but imagine yourself 3 years from now, and what would you be seeing or feeling and having, right? So as you think about 3 years, and this, whatever it is, there's no right or wrong, but just imagine if you can have anything that you would desire, see yourself 3 years from now, and imagine now, in order to attain that, what would you have to have in place 2 years from now to achieve that 3-year mark? And as you think about that, your brain is going to come up with different solutions. And as you're thinking about the 2-year mark, what would you have to have in place 1 year from now? 1 year from now, in order to attain the 2-year thing that you have in place. And as you're thinking about the year from now, what do you have to do now to get yourself ready to get into the month from now, so that you can take action at getting yourself in alignment to get to the 1-year space? And as you're thinking about all those things that are coming up, and if you actually write them down, you're going to find that your life is going to expand in a way that you might not even have possibly imagined.
Wow. I really went into that.
Boom.
I was like, whoa, Twilight Zone.
It
What's
does
happening
work.
to me?
It
You're
does work.
powerful. Oh my God. It
It
does work.
It does work.
I think I'm suggestive. I'm starting to feel that.
I have to share with the listeners, if there's anybody listening, but Anita was a little bit skeptical when I first met her and I
Yeah.
first did the show the first time, and I could see her watching, and she was wanting to be, she was very open to wanting to understand, but she was a little nervous and kind of didn't know what to expect. But
Yeah.
so it's amazing that she just let me do that.
Oh
so.
my God. That shifted something in my brain. I swear to
It
you.
does. It's very powerful.
It's so powerful. And it's like you don't even realize how it happens.
right.
It's just like all of a sudden you get into it and you're like in the zone.
I can see it.
That
So
is
if you
so
take
weird.
action on that, you will thank me.
I was almost afraid I was going to start acting out certain things, like get up and dance.
No, I wouldn't make you cluck like a chicken
But-
on your own show.
That's so cute. But it's interesting because when I was growing up, I used to watch hypnosis on TV. Like there were some masters of hypnosis and we used to have that. And actually witnessed my mom and her friend being hypnotized through television
Oh, wow.
and getting up and doing stuff. And it was so weird for me.
Yeah.
I was like, how does it work?
Yeah.
How does it work? Can you break that down for me right now? Like, how does it work?
I already have.
What's
They-
the science of hypnosis?
well, I mean, we really don't know, right? It just the visualization
Yeah.
component of it and the willingness to want to do it.
Yeah.
So the people that you see on stage are suggestible, yes. The hypnotist usually picks the people that he can tell are willing to be led and are suggestible.
Are there any dangers to hypnosis? Like, can people not
Uh,
come back from that state?
Nah, I mean, they're really trained. A really, really effective and well-trained master hypnotist is always going to tell the person right before, as soon as you hear my voice and I count to whatever, you will easily come back. You must say that, out of precaution. but it's very, very rare unless there's some sort of like other disorder going on, like we mentioned. When you're picking people out of a stage, you're not having a screening. So it's just most people that are not suggestible are not going to be jumping on stage.
Are some people afraid of hypnosis?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
I just was at it makes me laugh because now that
Because there's a control issue. There's like somebody else
Well,
is controlling your consciousness and mind.
not really. I mean,
I know, but that's what it feels like.
Well,
it feels like you're submitting yourself to someone else's way of thought, and you don't know what to expect. There's uncertainty.
When I just did that exercise with you, wasn't it something that you were fully in control of? Because you were visualizing.
I was.
The person is always in
But you were
control.
sort of navigating my mind. You
Right.
were navigating my vision.
I was helping you see what you wanted. Though.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
nobody does anything to you that you
Yeah,
don't want.
yeah.
It's always the fear is.
So it's the fear is if someone's leading you to a bad place.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
until that's why we do the screening,
Mm-hmm.
because then it kind of disproves that, and
Yeah.
so the fear is taken away. But I was just this week at a business expo, and I had a table, and I was offering screenings, and many people signed up. They were interested, but I saw a few people running past my booth, going, "Oh God, I don't want that," and I just had to laugh because if they really experience the screening or what you just experienced, you could see I'm not doing anything that the person doesn't want.
Right.
I mean, I know how to lead them, but to what they want,
Yeah.
not what I want.
How did you realize that you had the talent and the qualities
I don't think it's
to
a
be
talent.
a
I don't think it's.
But
a
I
talent.
don't think any human being can be a hypnotherapist, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't know.
It has a lot to do with speaking, right? Holding your focus.
But I'm trained to do that. I was
Right,
trained to do that. I wasn't born doing this. As a matter of fact.
But you have it in you. I gotta admit, you have it in you.
Well,
I mean, I've
can
had
appreciate
people
that.
who have had certificates in hypnosis, but they couldn't. Like, I just didn't feel that strong like magnetism.
Well, I'm not gonna take credit for that.
Yeah.
I maybe
yeah.
they weren't trained with the right group or the
Oh,
right trainer
interesting.
and the right teacher. I'm going to give a lot of kudos to the the people that have been on my path. I was a very shy, Catholic Catholic schoolgirl that if there was more than one person in front of her, I would shut down and not be able to talk. I know being a hairdresser for many years gave me confidence to talk to one person, but hypnosis is the testimonial that that it works because I'm doing things that I would never dream of. But as far as being skilled, I have to say I take that back to the group that I'm connected with, and kudos to them and their trainings that I've received.
Do you have to get recertified every so often? Like, do you do refreshers? Are there new methods being introduced? And then also you mentioned that you can train others to become hypnotherapists.
Yes. So, well, I'm connected with my mentor, and that's never going to go away. So I'm constantly being watched and supervised, and in this group, and everybody checks each other and make sure that they're in alignment with what is happening. I have myself tons and tons and tons more to learn because there's so much information.
Are there any rules to hypnotherapy? Like when you're working with your clients?
Well, yes.
Certain things that you have to maintain?
I would say rapport. You always have to have integrity for the outcome of the person. There's a real love and concern for the person, and you can feel that when you go in, with someone. If there's not a connection, then it's the wrong person. It's the wrong person for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a rule, but that's really important.
And in those cases, you kind of refer them to someone else, or you turn them away?
I mean, I don't really have that per se. Oftentimes people come and they say, "Oh, well, I feel very comfortable with you," and there's this form of connection. But I'm just thinking, oftentimes people tell me, "I've tried it before and it just didn't work." Well, maybe because you did go to the wrong person, or you didn't have the right connection, or you didn't have the right techniques.
So
or
sort of
whatever.
there has to be a connection with the person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The stars have to align.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we have to wrap up right now, but it's been so fun talking to you.
Yes.
I really want our listeners to really get in touch with you, especially if they're having weight issues, smoking issues, and stress issues. I think you could really help them. Carmela's an amazing person. She's sweet, she's kind, and she's very loving. That's what I've noticed from knowing you for over a year. So just a reminder, Grace Radio Show comes on every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. please tune in. You can always call in. And please visit Carmela's website, mindflowhypnosis.com, where you can learn more about her. You can watch the testimonial. She has a bunch of videos. She has radio shows on there. You have written
all kinds of
testimonials.
things, yes.
And
a lot of things.
yeah, thank you so much, Carmela.
Thank you,
It's been
Anita.
so much fun.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Grace, invigorating talk radio with Anita, only on LA Talk Radio. Discover, inspire, evolve.